All right, let's dive in. Today we're talking about something that's at the absolute core of good data analysis, the dimension. These are the unsung heroes that turn a pile of random numbers into a story you can actually use. So if you really want to get how data works, stick around.
So, what is a dimension really? Well, think of it like this. It's a table that holds all the descriptive context about your data. If you have a number, your fact, the dimension is the who, what, where, and when that makes that number make sense. It's like the label on a filing cabinet drawer, telling you exactly what's inside. And this is really the best way to think about it. Imagine your main data has a number in it, like 100 sales. Okay, so what? That's totally meaningless on its own. The dimensions are what tell you the story. Who made the purchase? What product did they buy? Where was it sold? When did it happen? Without dimensions, 100 is just noise. With them, it's a business insight.
Okay, but here's where it gets complicated, right? Because the real world is messy. It doesn't just stand still. So what do you do when the who, what, where, and when of your data changes? And this gets us to the heart of the matter, the problem of change. Your data system needs to be a perfect, trustworthy record of the past. But the attributes, the context, are constantly shifting in the present. How do you possibly keep your history straight when the world isn't static? I mean, just think about these real-world examples. A loyal customer moves from Boston to Miami. Do you just update their city to Miami? If you do, all their past purchases now look like they happened in Florida, which is just wrong. Or a product gets a fancy new name. Do you lose all the sales data from its old branding? These are the exact problems that can totally ruin your historical reporting. Luckily, the people who build these systems came up with a solution. It's a powerful toolkit called Slowly Changing Dimensions, or SCDs. This is pretty much the industry standard playbook for handling change. So let's walk through the most common types. First up, we've got the simplest and, honestly, the most brutal approach, Type 1. Its strategy is simple. When a piece of information changes, you just delete the old stuff and replace it with the new stuff. End of story. Just look at this. The product used to be in the education department. The business reorganizes, and now it belongs to strategy. With Type 1, the education value is just gone, wiped out. As far as your database is concerned, it was never in the education department. Now, this is super easy to implement, but the damage is huge. Try running a report on last year's sales by department. Your numbers for education will be completely wrong. Your history is now fiction. So, obviously, destroying history is not a great long-term plan. That brings us to Type 2, which is by far the most common and robust solution. The big idea here? Instead of overwriting, you just add a new row. Okay, now check this out. The original education row isn't deleted. Instead, it gets an end date, and its status is flipped to expired. Then, a brand new row is created for the strategy department, with a new start date and a flag that says, hey, this is the current one. What's the result? Perfect historical accuracy. You know exactly what department this product was in and for what period of time. This is the absolute gold standard. But what if you don't need a full, detailed audit trail? What if you just need to know what the last value was? Well, for that, there's a clever compromise called Type 3. Instead of adding a new row, you add a new column. See how this works? The current department is updated to strategy, just like in Type 1. But we add a whole new column, maybe called prior department name, to store the old value, education. You lose the full timeline, but you get a really useful snapshot of the immediate past. It's a great middle ground solution. So, to quickly compare the two big ones, think of Type 1 as the data shredder. It's fast, it's easy, but it completely destroys the past. Type 2, on the other hand, is the meticulous historian. It carefully documents every single change, giving you a perfect auditable record. Which one you should use? Well, it all comes down to whether your business needs to remember its own story. Now, handling change is a huge piece of the puzzle, but it's not the whole thing. Let's do a quick lightning round of a few other really smart dimension types you'll see out there in the real world. First up is the role-playing dimension. This is all about efficiency. See how there's only one physical date table here, but it's being used 3 different ways. It's playing the role of the order date, the ship date, and the delivery date. It's a super smart way to avoid cluttering your model with 3 identical tables. And speaking of dates, a proper date dimension is like a calendar on steroids. Seriously, it doesn't just have the date. It has the day of the week, the month name, the fiscal quarter, the year, flags for holidays, weekends, you name it.
This is what lets you ask incredibly powerful questions about trends over time.
And what about all those little odds and ends? You know, those random flags or text indicators like payment type or order status. Where do you put them? Well, you can create what's called a junk dimension. It's basically a neat little catch-all drawer for all those miscellaneous attributes, which keeps your other more important tables clean and tidy.
So, we've looked at all these different techniques, SCDs, role-playing, junk dimensions, but let's zoom out. Why does any of this stuff actually matter? Because it's not just about being organized, it's about whether you can actually trust your own data to make good decisions. This quote just nails it perfectly. If your dimensions are a mess, if you can't accurately report on what happened last year because you overwrote all your history, then how on earth can you make an intelligent plan for next year? You can't. Good dimensions turn your raw data into real, reliable intelligence.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. Your company's data, its history, is an incredibly valuable asset. It tells the complete story of your business, your wins, your losses, everything. So the question is, are you treating it that way? Are you carefully preserving that story, or are you just letting it disappear?